Okay, so there's the finished job. All I got to do now is just go around the edges with a icy pole stick and get out any bits of old tape and give it a bit of a clean. The actual trims themselves, I'll give the paint a week to dry, and then I'll use a bit of 1200 colour fine sand, just really lightly go over the top, get any dust from today that's landed in it. Bit of polish, and yeah, good as new. Let's show the other side. So yeah, there you go, pretty easy. All time up was about yeah, about an hour's work, I guess, altogether. Yeah, I could have taken the windows out, but yeah, stuff doing that. So all good, on to the next project. Steve here. Today we're going to repaint this trim around here. I had the windows tinted a while ago, and when the guy did it, he scratched here, which I was pretty pissed off about. Anyway, I did a rudimentary repair, but I blocked it back and filled it with paint, and that fixed it. But of course the paint I've got is the wrong black. As you can see, it doesn't match, and my OCD is starting to kick in and it's giving me the shit. So I'm going to repaint this whole black trim. Yeah, I've done a bit of research, and these pieces of trim here, you can force them off out of the corners, but you probably damage them. So the whole window's got to come out if you want to do this job properly. But you don't particularly want to take the whole window out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mask this up, and I'm going to paint it using an airbrush which has low pressure. If you're going to use a rattle can and paint this, you'd have to mask the whole car because you'll get shit everywhere. Probably not the best day, it's a bit windy out here, but we'll see how we go. First step we're going to do here is I've just got, this is actually a bag out of a shredding machine, which I recycle all the paper that we shred, and I've just torn it up, but any piece of plastic will do. You're just going to mask up all that area, and then we're going to cut out part for the window. So I'm just going to use a blade, and I'm going to cut around here. Obviously being really careful not to cut the paint below it, Captain Obvious. It doesn't have to be perfectly accurate because we're going to actually also use the masking tape here as well, but it's just to give you a general outline. So I've cut the plastic, just run some masking tape around the edge of the plastic and down the edges of the rubber there. One of the things you might want to do is get a ice cream stick or plastic trim tool and just run it along in there just to make sure the edge is down sharp. At the end of the day, it's not going to matter too much if you get a bit of black paint on the rubber, but I'd rather not do it. Okay, next step is to get the piece of plastic that is cut out of here, down there, and we're going to stick that on the glass and then tape that up as well. Around and just do a loose stick first, folding the plastic underneath itself where it's going to overlap. Now we can use the tape to seal the rest off. I've masked up the inside part of the window. A couple of things here to note. You'll notice I've used a bit of paper here. It doesn't have to be black paper, it's just I happen to have some handy, and I actually slid it in behind the trim there because there was enough room to do that. The other places there wasn't, so I've used tape. But by sliding the paper under, you know you've got a definite nice edge there. This is the trim tool I was telling you about. You can use that to just move it away a little bit to get the paper in there. Also to gently push down the edges of the tape to get a good edge around there. At the end of the day, I'm using an airbrush, or will be using an airbrush, which is very low PSI, so you're not going to be looking at a lot of overspray anyway, but just as a guide. So that's that side taped up. Now we've just got to do the other side and we'll be ready to move forward. Okay, so that's the other side masked up. Same principle as the first side. Cut out the plastic, taped it to the car. Use the piece that I cut out into the middle, just folding it up under itself and loosely masking tape it around the edges, and then tape it around. Use some paper where I could to slide it under the edges there. Last thing you want to do now is just go around the edges with your trim tool and just make sure you've got every bit. Take your time, check the outside, check the inside. I think I went over this about 3 times before I was happy with it. So next thing to do now is I'll go get my paint and my airbrush and some prep sol, and we'll keep moving. Okay, so this is what I'm going to be using. Apparently that's about the closest to factory, but anyway, we'll see. Now, of course, I don't want to use this aerosol can spraying out there because A, I don't have much control over it. You know, they have a big wide spray pattern, and B, they're under a fair bit of pressure, so you get paint all over the place when you're only working with a strip this wide. So I'm going to use my airbrush over here, but obviously I need to get the paint from that into that. So how do we do that? Well, I've got my old Yay Vegemite jar here, and you can just spray that straight into there. Of course you'll get overspray piling up everywhere, so I've got a little plastic, I don't know what it is, little dish, just dremelled a hole in it. I'm just going to sit that on top there, put a bit of masking tape around the edges, spray from there through there, and I'll minimise my overspray. And once I get a bit of paint in there, I can transfer that into that, or put my lid on it and just keep it for a little while. It'll keep in the Vegemite jar for a few weeks. So let's get that happening. So there's my paint in there. It's the end result. One dirty glove, but yeah, no problem. Now I can just put the lid on that, keep it till I'm ready to put it in the airbrush. The last thing you're going to need to do is just prepare the area to be sprayed. You can use this prep sol. It's an automotive product. Basically it just cleans the area down, gets all the sticky crap off it, that sort of stuff. If you don't have any of that, this will do just as well. The isopropyl alcohol. All you're trying to do is just get all the grease and grime off the trim itself. Look, you can get a bit of 1200 and rub it back if you're really fussed, but yeah, seriously, it's not worth doing. So there you go, couple of clean rags, what's left of my son's pyjamas. It's alright, he's grown up, he doesn't need them anymore. And alright, we'll go get it ready. So I've prep soled all around the edges. I went over it actually with my alcohol and then a bit of prep sol on a rag, and cleaned all that up. Used a microfiber towel just to go over and get any marks off. One other trick you want to do just before you paint, use the air from the gun just to blow across the top, just so there's no dust and shit on there. I'm spraying outside today, and as you can see, it's a pretty crappy day. It's probably not the best day to be spraying, but anyway, if you're in a shed or a paint booth, that's all the best, but hey, you make do with what you got. I got an outside rural environment, so that's what we do. Okay, so I'm going to put the paint in the airbrush, and I'm going to have it down on real low pressure, as I've said a few times, and we'll give this a couple of coats, see how this turns up. Can't film and paint at the same time, so I'll show you when it's done. So I'm spraying at about 8 psi here, just enough to get the paint moving, just keeping it in one motion, and just keep doing that to the whole window. Okay, so there's the finished job. All I've got to do now is just go around the edges with a icy pole stick and get out any bits of old tape and give it a bit of a clean. the actual trims themselves, I'll give the paint a week to dry, and then I'll use a bit of 1200 colour fine sand, just really lightly go over the top, get any dust from today that's landed in it, bit of polish, and yeah, good as new. Let's show the other side. So yeah, there you go, pretty easy. All time up was about yeah, about an hour's work, I guess, altogether. Yeah, I could have taken the windows out, but yeah, stuff doing that. So all good, on to the next project.